What about your skateboarding career? What years to what years were you in skateboarding?
I skateboarded since the '60s, and then in the '70s I was a pro skateboarder.
From when to when in the
it's
60s?
Like '65
to
until early '70s. I was the first guy in LA County to be put on the Sims Santa Barbara-based skateboard team. The Sims team, which was an honor to be on from our whole group of friends. And I stayed on the Sims team, but then not only being a pro skater, I ran the skateboard parks around here.
I
was the manager and resident pro at Paramount and Del Mar, Montebello. So I set the skate parks up, trained all the employees, showed everybody how to skate safe. We had like a lifeguard crew, so they didn't get hurt. You know what I mean?
So what's the worst injury you ever had?
Broke this wrist 7 times. Navicular. Fallen this was that bone transplant. And
now, once you get it broken and you get it, doesn't it become tougher and tougher? So it's harder to break it.
The problem is, if you let it heal, it would be fine. But I kept, because that's all I did. I have pictures. Every magazine or surf movie that I'm in the '70s, I have a cast on my wrist or a knee brace on because I was always they never let it heal because you couldn't.
Well, then I imagine that would be that'd be a sign of honor.
It's one of those things where, you know what, I'm not going to sit here. Everybody else is skating and the magazine's here photographing today. When I'm sitting with it, I just put tape on it and go out and skate. You know.
Well, there you go.
And I go to the doctor and he look at it and go, "What have you been doing?" It's all worn down.
Skateboarding,
surfing, put baggies on it.
Well, isn't that the honorable thing to do if you're a skateboarder, to skateboard no matter what? Now, what was the best trick that you could do?
I was a pro longboarder. I didn't really do tricks. I rode pools and parks, banks, hills, slalom, everything. But I didn't do trick. I wasn't really a trickster.
So is there a difference between the skateboarders of your day, which goes back about 40 years, to the top skateboarders today? Do they do things differently, or different technology, different tricks?
Completely different, but it's coming back.
How would you describe the difference?
The difference is in the. See, I've done 2 books on the history of skateboarding, so I've gone through all
what are they called?
Just one's by the Skateboard Retrospective by Rindle. I just helped put together with all my collections.
So you were like a consultant?
Yes, I did all this stuff. I've done 2 of them. But basically the '70s was just like the '70s. You know, we all skated, we went to parks, everybody smoked dope, everybody drank, everybody hung out. Everybody, we're in this movie here, we're at this skate park, we're here, we're there, just surf today, everything was just mopeds and Volkswagens and whatever. In the late '70s, early '80s, it started getting into the weirder and disappearing and stuff, and skateboarding went to the streets. Skate parks started closing because of liability insurance, because of this, because of that. So skating went to the punk rock, to the streets, to stairs and steps and curbs, and it went.
So what do you think of that?
It went stupid. Well, I didn't have nothing to do with it. So then it went through the '80s. It just kind of did its thing. And then about through the '90s, it started coming back with a few long. See, I was a longboarder, which was only a handful of us in the world at the time in the '70s.
How long was your longboard?
5 foot. I rode 5 foot, 6 foot boards.
Wow.
And so.
Well, is there any advantage, or is it just straight disadvantage?
It was more disadvantage. It was more surf style.
I see.
So rather than riding those little skinny skateboards, there's a magazine I put on my Facebook yesterday. Someone just sent me a copy of me, and it says, "Watch Ed Economy doing things on his longboard that most riders wouldn't attempt on a little board."
So, what was the best skateboard that you ever had? Not one that you made, but one off the shelf. Yeah.
I sold a Duke Hanamoko skateboard for $10,000.
Say it a little slower. What?
Duke Hanamoko, who he is, right? Duke was the Olympic champion from Hawaii, swimming 1932 to 24, whatever years, the first Olympics. Duke was the ambassador to Hawaii. They had made a '60s Duke Hanamoko board. I said I owned probably the biggest Duke collection in the world too at one time. And I had a longboard, clay wheel, was the only one known, and I sold that for $10,000.
Wow.
That was my highest price board I sold.
Now, is there a board that you would say is a particularly good board, meaning one that's easy to use, where you could do the tricks, and it's safe, and all those kind of things?
New school nowadays, it's all safe. Nowadays, it's all safe.
What makes it safer than the way it used to be back in the old days?
Because in the old 60s, they were metal wheel and they were clay wheels. If you hit that cigarette butt, you'd fall on your head and break your arm. If you hit a rock. Now they go over it. And
I hit a lot of cigarette butts.
And then a lot of people, they didn't have cutouts for the wheels, so when you turn the wheel, it hit, that would throw you. You break, you know what I mean? So when I started designing skateboards again in 2000, my own company, we started doing the cutout and things. So you could get on a longboard 5 feet and wide. I had a couple in the store there for a little while, but they sold right away. But then you can ride in a wheel, you can weigh 200 pounds, 300 pounds, whatever, it'll never rub. You're never going to get hurt. You're not going to get thrown. I designed a skateboard for a guy in Hawaii that owns this shop, Strong Current, and he didn't want the cutouts because it didn't look surfy enough. I said, "But Johnny, you have to, because it won't,
won't work right.
It ain't going to work right." And Madrid Skateboards in Huntington Beach here, who I set him up with the account with, was supposed to make the first proto, let me test ride it, test it, approve it, and then they'd make 200 or 300 boards, whatever.
Wow.
And I got a call that they got the boards made, done, and shipped.